Hi everyone, welcome to Cow Corner Cricket Cast. I'm your host Pratham. I'm joined by my fellow mate Rohan, and we've been watching the second day of this second test between India and England at Lord's. I should note before we get started talking about this particular match, we did have some technical difficulties. We weren't quite able to upload our review of the first day's play, so apologies about that. But we've been keenly watching this match, and we have a lot to mention and say in store. If yesterday was firmly, squarely India's day, today was more even Stevens, and I would argue advantage England at the end.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement to say. I mean, they cleaned up the tail. Congrats to Jimmy on being the oldest man with a fifer.
Yep.
Which is kind of weird thing to congratulate a guy on being the oldest to do something really impressive.
It feels like a backhanded compliment. Oh yeah, you're the oldest guy to do this in 7 years. No, but fantastic achievement from him.
Yep. And then, some I'm just going to say some batting. I'm not going to call it good or bad. I'm just going to say there was some batting that happened.
Yes. But coming to the day's play, right? We started out India 276 for 3. In high spirits, Rahul sat at the crease. Rahane had survived a testing spell, but, looked like he had a chance. And we were praising Rahul yesterday for how well he batted, how late he played the ball, how disciplined he was outside off, how much he waited. And then he proceeds to drive an airy-fairy drive. Refuses to keep it down against Robinson, who was stiff in today's initial spell, and gives him a freebie wicket. And then Rahane is like,
I'm gonna be kinder to KL Rahul. I don't even think that's his fault. I mean, at that point, you've already scored 100 runs. You're an opening batsman. You've seen up the new ball. You've seen up the new ball, the second new ball. At that point, what more do you want from him?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as egregious as, say, Rahane, we'll come to in a bit, but it was still bad just because, dude, you knew that if India wanted to, firmly establish themselves in the game, you had to bat out and get another 50 runs. You needed to make a daddy 100, and especially with your place in the side often under question, right? This was the moment for you to completely settle that.
To be the hero.
Yeah, and you didn't. But, better than Rahane, who was like, hey Jimmy, I'm just gonna give the slips catching practice, with one of the softest dismissals I saw. And really India's batting right throughout the day was just a montage, if you will, of just soft dismissals.
I think that speaks to specifically India's scoring troubles. Unless the openers go big, right?
Yeah.
They have struggled to score.
Which is hilarious. Which is hilarious because it was the exact opposite problem the last time we toured England. It was literally Kohli and then Pujara once in a while. And everyone else went bust. And now it's our openers and then everyone else goes bust. It's like we just reversed everything in a time capsule.
The funniest thing is, right, this is by reputation the best middle order in world cricket, right?
Yeah.
Best 3, 4, 5 in world cricket. The only team with an argument against that is New Zealand.
Yeah, and they won the WTC.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, they average under 25. It's all of them.
It's really bad, man. It's sad to see. Moving on to the match situation here itself, right? The tail didn't, as usual, 9, 10, 11 jack. Didn't really survive. Jimmy Anderson came back and bowled a really lovely spell of of swing bowling. He got a boomer with an absolute peach that went into middle stump, bounced, and got his almost his glove and as an outswinger. And really, from a strong position, India were of 276 for 3, with the exception of Jadeja, who batted admirably, again patient, went after the bowling when need be. They got bowled out for about 360 odd.
Let's talk about England, because England made some changes to their batting lineup. Zach Crawley went out, Ollie Pope went out, Dan Lawrence
went out.
Also out. In came Aseem Hameed.
Came back in. The score.
Yeah, Moeen is also the
scored of Indian cricket.
So let's talk about opening batting a little bit, right? Because that has been apparently that has been England's biggest problem. I think Rory Burns gets way too much crap because he's not a bad player. He knows what he's doing.
And he showed it today. He almost scored a 50. One short.
One short of a 50.
One short.
And it's not even like his. I mean, you can't really fault him for the way he got out in the end that much.
No, it was a nip backup from Shami that even Holding thought initially when he was commentating that probably went outside leg, landed outside leg.
And Burns, right? They're so often everyone thinks that this they're sort of like the same player. They both play very slowly. They both play square of the wicket. They both
mainly score square of the wicket. They don't play the same shots on the square of the wicket, but they both mainly score square of the wicket.
Yeah, they look to score a square. So the difference is, of course, Rory Burns can actually score runs.
He can accelerate one set, right?
But yeah, he does. Rory Burns is a conservative batsman, but he's not a guy who's out there trying to block and survive ball after ball after ball. He's a guy looking to avoid playing good balls and play bad balls.
And critically to this comparison that you're making between Sibley and Burns, right, is how late each play the ball, right? Because both play the ball with soft hands that allows them to evade the slip cordon more often than other England openers that they've tried, like Roy and Hales before them. But difference between Sibley and Crawley fundamentally is, right, that Sibley and Burns, to say, is that Sibley fundamentally doesn't play the ball as late as Burns does, right? Burns plays it sometimes so late while defending to the point where literally the ball bounces back and almost hits his stumps just because he's landing the
We saw that today.
Yeah, we saw it. We see it all the time.
Yeah. So again, I think Sibley, if it wasn't for the fact that Hameed
had the greatest reintroduction back into Test cricket possible with the Golden Duck. Sibley would probably be out of the team, right?
Yeah, he would not be playing the next Test match.
The problems with Sibley are that despite him being a resolute stonewalling batsman, which is not a bad thing, he fundamentally doesn't have any release shots against a lot of types of bowling, including spinners. He gets bogged down easily by them. He doesn't have really a great release shot, even in terms of square of the wicket pulls and cuts off the back foot.
Yeah.
He is a very front foot.
He's a front foot player who plays square of the wicket, which is not something that is typically very successful.
Fundamentally, Sibley is struggling here because of that inability to be able to effectively, I would say, have release shots and rotate the strike well enough. And also because he keeps on making the same mistake where, weirdly, every other opener in world cricket, or most of them, have a problem outside off, right? Which is to say...
I mean, that's just true of every batsman. Like, outside off, that's the danger area.
Yeah, because they're driving and there's a slips cordon in Test cricket. Sibley is the exception to that rule.
That's the opposite.
Where he actually, keeps on playing outside of his eye line, right? He keeps on flicking the ball once it's already past leg stump in the air.
I swear to God, the man is a left-handed batsman. He's a left-handed batsman. Well, he's a left-handed batsman batting right-handed.
Yeah, pretty much. You're right.
And it's like, what? Why? Why would you play at that? Let it go. It's go.
And it's easy to get him out because teams have worked him out. And that's what Virat did today. He had two men. Admittedly, the leg trap we'll discuss wasn't exactly the best in terms of positions, but fundamentally, it's very easy to get Sibley out tactically because again, he doesn't put pressure on.
He has one very obvious and very easily exploitable weakness. And every team is starting to figure out, wait, I can just bowl a bad ball and he will get himself out and I don't have to do anything.
Hameed, right? His replacement. The savior of England cricket.
I'm not even saying... I'm one ball. And, I feel bad for him. It's like one of those one of those ways to get out. We just feel bad for the guy because he completely reads the line, gets his feet completely mixed up, gets his hands completely mixed up, and gets bowled. And it sucks for a guy who's gone through as much as he has.
It does.
To lose his wicket in that way, and the good news is you have another inning, and England will need a hero in that inning.
Yeah, I actually mentioned it to a friend of ours while the match was going on, that I haven't felt this bad for a guy getting a duck since Fawad Alam got a duck back in. He made his re-entry, because it's that kind of a feeling, right? And to your point, right? Yeah, it was the reason why it was so embarrassing for him probably is because it was somewhat fast. It was full, which on this pitch is the right line of length to bowl, and Siraj did get that right on the column, but it was a straight ball, right? And the fact that
he didn't do anything.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
The commentary, they were like, "Oh, they must have swung late, or there must have been some deviation." Nope, just a straight ball.
Straight ball. He misses it. And there is a technical flaw that has cropped up in that dismissal that you can see, and that he. Even if
his bat wasn't straight when it came down.
Yeah, it was a crooked backlift, and he's got to work on that to make sure that he doesn't get into that problem.
I think the other thing that needs to be talked about, Siraj and Shami, they bowled okay. I think that's fair to say. They bowled okay. They didn't bowl well. They just sort of bowled okay.
We have to blame Siraj here for just not being consistent enough with his line and lengths, right? There are too many times when he tries to bowl a bouncer to be an enforcer. There are too many times where he, as a matter of fact, if we're being really honest, there are too many times where he, just bowls half trackers, really. Frustrating too, right? Because the wickets he got, right, were full, fast, straight, and induct a little bit, right? They were deliveries which he could bowl. And for me, what's frustrating is he didn't stick to that. More importantly, he seems to be struggling to cope with English conditions, specifically in that he keeps on alternating between the scramble seam and the wobble seam, right? Yeah. And Siraj in Australia, when he took that fifer and he bowled so well, and everyone was like, "Oh, we found a new ball bowler finally," to complement our attack. He was bowling with the upright seam, right? It made no sense for him not to bowl with an upright seam here. And I feel like he's not able to actually control. This is just my opinion here. I don't know for certain, but I feel like he's not able to control the swing. I
think you're right there, and I think it's also has to do with the fact that this is the first time he's bowling with the Duke's ball. England, the ball swings more like a Kookaburra or an SG ball after about an SG, like those two balls when they come out new.
Yeah. After
about 10-15 overs. So Kohli and Shastri must have figured out, and the entire coaching staff must have realized, well, he's really good with the new ball. But when the ball moves the most is typically when they bring him into the attack. I think that he himself might have sort of a mental block. Not saying anything bad, just sort of like he's not used to, because when you open the bowling, you get amped up, you get focused, and you don't have to worry about fielding balls, running around. You get the ball, you run it.
Yeah.
Right. But in this case, he's getting the ball 10-15 overs. He's probably failed it a little bit at that point, and he may not be focusing as much on getting my seam position right, getting my ball to move. It's just one of those weird things that bowlers sometimes have to deal with.
If you wanted to turn to, match predictions, right? What do you think England will do? What do you think India will do? And what do you think will actually happen?
Yeah, they'll get to 300, 310. I think that's as much as they can go. Joe Root, of course, is going to be excellent as per normal. But I know that you disagree slightly.
Yeah, I think Barristow's going to get out cheaply. I think Butler is going to have one of those free sort of winded days where he scores a quick 50-odd. I do also see Moeen and Curran sticking in with a couple of useful 20s or 30s, and then I see pretty much everyone else doing nothing. And so I think Joe Root will stick in there. He will get a century, but I think it'll be a lower total of 275. 270, 260, there around.
So about 100-run lead is your prediction.
Yeah, unless a miracle ensues, I think in England loss is very likely. And on that note, guys, we're going to sign off. It's been fun covering the second day. Again, apologies for not having the first day up, but technical issues happens. And we will be stay tuned, because we will be here for the third day, where we will give our thoughts about this particular test match as it unfolds. So take care, guys.
See you.